Hello, I'm Glenn Isbell, the Vice President of Rapid Prototyping and Manufacturing Innovation at Bell. I'm a 24-year veteran of Bell, and I am in charge of developing our manufacturing research and development and also designing our future factories. And I'm here with our leader of our supply chain, Eli Javanmarty.
Hi, I'm Eli Javanmarty. I'm the Vice President of Supply Chain here at Bell. I've been in the aerospace business for a little over 20 years. Worked in engineering, through program management, and now into supply chain.
So what we're going to talk to you today about is how we're positioning Bell to be the right company to win the FLRAA and the FARA programs. We believe that we have a very unique approach, and we have the winning approach. And so we want to talk to you a little bit about what exactly we're doing in that space. So I am responsible for defining the future factories and our internal manufacturing approach. And Eli has our supply chain and all of our external manufacturing components and parts. And as everybody knows, you need a combination of those two to really be successful. So from the internal side, we'll talk about that a little bit first. We believe that the next generation of products needs to be made in a next generation factory. So very specifically, we have historically built drives, rotors, and a lot of our most complex parts internally. But specifically, we don't want to build the Valor or the Invictus the same way we built the V-22 and the H-1. We want to take all those lessons and build them in a new and improved way. Because we know in today's world, our cycle times, our lead times have to be reduced, our costs have to be reduced, and overall our responsiveness needs to be better than they have been in legacy historical aircraft. We are very purposely defining factories that are integrated specifically for the capabilities needed for the FAR and the FARA products or Bell, so that we can most effectively produce those aircraft. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about how we're doing that as we go forward. And so one of the things that we both will have to talk about, and we both have to, the challenges that we face is getting visibility to, once we have products in production, how do we get visibility into that status? So Eli, I know that's something that you guys work through on the supply chain all the time. Yep. You have different suppliers building different parts. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing to really change the visibility we have into our supply base?
Sure, thanks Glenn. A lot of what we're doing, as you can see in the background, you have the command center up and running. We've been working on the command center for a little over about a year and a half to 2 years now, and we have a bunch of analytical tools that help us within forecasting, providing transparency, visibility, and commonality across our supply base to better support not only our suppliers but our end users, including our factories here at Bell. We typically analyze each one of our parts through our command center to give us a forecasting measure so that we know our material availability going forward. Over the last 2 years, we have gone from about a 79 to 80% material availability overall at Bell, that's commercial and military and sustainment programs, to almost 96% since we've installed our command center and had it up and running. So it's a huge shift in our philosophy and how we operate. We're going more to a risk-based forecasting as opposed to the reactive-based business that we had been in for many years here at Bell. We're targeting a 12-month transparency and visibility into our supply chain. We've achieved almost 24 months at this point. We're heading to 36 months, and it could go beyond as we start working and developing with our suppliers how we can actually integrate our ERP systems with their ERP systems, get better forecasting through the systems, and also within our material management team as well, because they now have tools that better align with how we supply chain operate and how you operate, Glenn, from the manufacturing side. So a lot of great things are happening here. And so, as we look at supply chain going forward, suppliers are the best support for us, right? Because without our supply base, we can't achieve the next level programs. And so how you and I interact between technology and suppliers and manufacturing here at our COEs and designating what's core and context and that sort of thing is going to develop the next generation of aircraft. And to me, as we work forward in our collaboration with our suppliers, it now becomes a partnership with our suppliers. no longer will suppliers be a transactional commodity. Suppliers are partnering with Bell. They see the vision that we're after. They want to be a partner with us to go forward, and we want to take them along for the ride because it's going to be a different atmosphere. We're working on a collaboration tool. Our collaboration tool is going to be second to none. It's going to be the best in aerospace. We are going to show our supply base what a great opportunity is to work with Bell going forward, because they will have the transparency and visibility into our programs and better support our end user, particularly our warfighters.
Cool, cool. Yeah, the visibility question is one of the things we're trying to do on the future factory side. And really it's the same that you're doing on the control center, is getting the sensors and all the equipment to then be able to tell, hey, this is the fingerprint of the part, the last 10 times we've made it. The fingerprint looks a little different this time. What's going on? So it helps us to detect possible quality issues. It helps us to just look at a drift of a machine, or it helps to detect something else that's happening that sometimes historically we've not found until we got a bad part. And so we're trying to, or a batch of parts. And so now we're trying to understand how do we get that, that detection in a much sooner way,
Yep.
right? And then also all factories rely on a supply chain to get materials and to get components in. And then so as we connect our two systems together, that's really where the synergistic power is, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
So one of the things though that I think is also very tied to that is it's the immense design integration that we've had from the program and the design teams, right? So the teams have really worked we've had kind of an overall strategy for all the Bell design parts. And as we look at the manufacturing approach, whether we're gonna build it externally or we're gonna build it internally, we want to simplify the approach or the process it takes to build the part, right? The more steps we can reduce, the better off we are. And then we're trying to improve and figure out, hey, what's the best technology for the remaining steps of how well can we do it, and then put control mechanisms to then take that through, right? So I know we've done a lot of work there on some of our gears and our drive systems to do those kind of things. So example is the case to where we've tried to simplify the castings. We're improving our machining of how we do the bores and the shafting to eliminate jig bore and a lot of those things, and then putting these visibility controls in place. But the design teams have also been very active on the supply chain side, right? Of changing their design based on suppliers' inputs and capabilities. I don't know if you want to talk about, if you have an example or so there, but it's also pretty powerful when we can really segment the folks that are going to build it, getting a voice into the design from the people that are trying to understand the capability of the aircraft.
Oh yeah, so a great example is one of our partners, Spirit. So, Boeing uses Spirit for all of their commercial aircraft, particularly the cabins. And so utilizing Spirit's technology and building the next generation of cabin structure within the V280 is a great example of using our supply-based capability and innovation. And so that is a tremendous capability that we've added to our portfolio.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing. And it makes me think of, big differentiation for Bell, right, is that it's our DNA, right? So our competition is either a legacy defense contractor or big jet piece with the Boeing side. We have Lockheed, who is one of the biggest defense contractors in the world. They do some commercial helicopters, but most of it's to the oil and gas guys, right? The big operators, the heavy iron, that honestly have been always pretty well funded operationally. But when you look at our side, we have a commercial business that's a pretty big piece of our business, but it's the lighter end of the market, right? So they're the more agile folks of either whether it's police departments or utility operators or EMS operators. And so the DNA for us is we don't have the appetite for some of the bigger waste, if you will, in our business, because our operators can't afford that kind of thing.
We don't have the luxury of time.
We don't have the luxury of the time. We don't have the
That's
luxury of solving big problems with these big solutions. We have to solve big problems with more efficient solutions, right? And so because we're constantly trying to solve commercial problems and military problems, I think it helps us be just in a leaner and agile and be able to make those decisions faster. I don't know if you've seen the same thing but
Yep.
yeah. So I think that's one of the big differentiators I think that we see, right? Yep. So talk about a little bit about agility. What are the things that we've put in place on the supply chain side that gives us the agility to react. Because sometimes it's you're doing plan A, right? But as everybody knows, plan A sometimes doesn't work, and we have to be able to adjust and get to plan B. So you want to talk a little bit about kind of your approaches of some of the command center and the different contracting mechanisms there?
Yeah, so let's stay focused a little bit on the command center, since I talked a little bit about the implementation of what we did. And so this year we hit a pandemic, right? No one was aware that this was going to happen. However, the guys that are in here, the guys and gals that are in the command center that are working this day to day, we're able to see now natural disasters and things like that, but we were also able to plot the COVID pandemic across the entire map, right? And so the team realized that this was going to impact our US-based suppliers rather quickly. And so we were out in front of the WHO 4 weeks in advance, already developed a plan of attack. We battle tested our tools, we looked at everything, we forecasted all the different scenarios that could happen, and we did not miss one military delivery through this whole COVID pandemic. I believe, and that's a general testament to the fact that we're forecasting better than we ever have before.
Well, that's a huge differentiator, because almost everybody that I've talked to, all the defense contractors, of the big and the small, have shut factories down, have not had parts, have missed deliveries, have either slowed down the line and are really struggling with ramping it back up, right? So that's a huge thing.
It is a huge thing, and the other significant data point here is how we interact with our suppliers as well. So we're able to get this information early on, and we're able to attack right away, have conversations with our suppliers to ensure that they're going to have material available. What is their current situation? How do we get our government affairs teams involved in certain cases where we keep these suppliers as essential and open? So when you have all this pre-planned activity in front of you, it's no longer a fire drill.
Right.
For years, and as you know, I worked on the H1 program. It was nonstop fire drill after fire drill, and it wasn't because nobody was doing their job. It's just we didn't have the tools we have today to go and effectively manage that and be more proactive than we have in the past. So we're able to stay out in front of this now, and as we continue to build on our tool sets here, alongside of manufacturing innovation, we're going to better support our fleet, our customer. They're going to see the difference. They're going to see the difference in sustainment. They're going to see the difference in PBL contracts. They're going to see that we can achieve the parts on the shelf like we never have before. Now, is it going to take some time? Absolutely, but we're almost there. We're getting all of our tool sets in place, and we're going to attack.
Right. Now, one of the proud things from the internal manufacturing side that I think has really seemed to stand out across all our peers is, so our factories never shut down, right? We continue to work. Mitch did a great job from a CEO leadership standpoint. Our shop did a great job of rallying around the cause, because just our products are personal to us, right?
That's right.
And so everybody, we pretty quickly adjusted, made the right procedural changes on the floor, and we continued to push through. We worked through a whole bunch of individual scenarios that had more risk or less risk, but we were able to keep going together, right? And I think that was a big event for us, I believe. Yeah. It's a great accomplishment that we were able to go through one of the most disruptive events probably in modern history that came out of nowhere, basically. Nobody was thinking about this at the end of last year, and we're able to weather that both internally and externally probably better than almost anybody on the planet.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Pretty good. So one of the things that this, your command center here is able to give you visibility into the supply chain, and really us in visibility in the supply chain. One of the other things is our manufacturing technology center, and it's a facility that we're developing that will allow us to kind of be a proving ground to validate the next generation of manufacturing processes. So in a lot of cases, I'm very specifically, we want to build a gear with significantly less machines than we build a gear today. And with the new machining technology, that's totally possible, right? And it's an incredible way to look at being able to take a gear that may have taken 39 manufacturing steps in the past, and I can make it for 16, right? Or do a mast that has a 18-month lead time, and integrate and coordinate and collaborate with the designers to be able to get that to be less than 90 days, right? So these are the kind of products that we're going to be developing, and again, it's our launch for transition to production. Our V-280 AVCD aircraft was flying years before the competition was able to fly, right? But the ability then to take that capability and transition that into production is also the next step. That's where a lot of things, kind of great ideas fall off, because you go from the one aircraft to the many, and that's not always an easy jump. So this is the other reason that we're doing that. We're doing the same thing in the supply chain as well, with some of those partnerships and some of those relationships that we've been developing the whole time with Team Valor and those kind of things.
Well, you make some great points there, right? And the challenge that we have is taking the old processes out of the development cycle here going forward. We need to go and invigorate our supply base with new processes that are actually going to yield parts, where in such cases I have one process that I am always held to as a sole source to one supplier that is unobtainium in certain cases throughout the year, and that can't happen. And so with your innovative, manufacturing and developing these processes and technologies, and also sharing some of that with the supply base, is going to tremendously help my supply chain in order to be able to effectively manage on-time material availability. Because without that, if I'm stuck with one source or one process, outside process, we'll never meet the demand of the warfighter. And therefore, we have to expand, and that's exactly what you're bringing to the table as we focus on manufacturing development and the future of our technology, and taking 39 processes down to 12.
Right.
Because we'd love to make everything, but we can't. Right. But we're going to develop it in such a way that we can go and have our supply base manufacture it with ease and increase yield and quality and delivery on time, so we can better support.
Yeah, no, I think one of the biggest impacts that we've had is to be able to integrate that design for producibility and simplification, regardless of whether we think we're going to make it or whether we think we're going to internally or externally, because once you've simplified it, it's better for both of us.
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah, so one of the other things I think that really ties into is our use of the digital thread. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So from the manufacturing side, we very much linked the design and the tolerance of a gear to the specific, and we've modeled through a model-based systems engineering approach. It's easier for most people to say, of the machine and the tool and the cutter, down to where we can link the NC program, and in some cases auto-generate many of that capability with the features of the part, right? Which then allows us to go, as we manufacture the part, it allows us to then take a feature-based quality approach. So no longer are we going to take the quality at a part level, but I'm going to know that I've had 3 defects at this feature over the last batch of parts, or I'm going to have 10 defects at this feature. So then it allows us to go and be much more precise in addressing problems and solving issues and getting that process capability. And so I think it's a really big piece, just a really big tool that we've been able to really unlock through our digital thread side, from some of the Dassault 3D experience pieces all the way into the shop floor ERP sessions as well.
Yep, and that's great, because you can now integrate that into the command center and have full visibility on your laptop, on your desktop.
Right.
Yeah, so the command center is not just supply chain, oriented. It actually is the enterprise tool, which can, include all kinds of different data sets of information, which is what your team has been working on with my team to energize that.
That's good.
That's great.
So one more topic I think it'd be good for us to cover is just the differentiation between what Bell and who we are as a mid-sized aerospace company and our competition. And I know, Eli, you've been a program manager, you've been in the IO side running the supply chain. What is your sense as you look at this from kind of your different hats and your different experiences?
Yeah, sure. With the FLRAA program, the government, or the United States government, they're very interested in a shorter acquisition timeline. And so, the Bell team has taken that on and is proving that we can squeeze that timeline to get to an EMD program much faster than we ever have before. I mean, typical programs are what? EMD, LRIP, full rate production. sometimes takes 20 years just to get
decades.
to an LRIP. And we vision us getting there much faster than ever. And that's a lot to do with our manufacturing innovation, our new vision for supply chain and how we operate, in the supply base, all the great tools that are in place, the digital twin between manufacturing and the supply chain, and how we can see the constraints up front and know how to proactively react to them. All of that capability is now here at Bell, along with some of the best innovation that we've ever seen before across the board in Bell engineering that is taking this aircraft to the next level. And we're going to do the same thing on the FARA program. We're going to do it on 360 and save the government a lot of money going forward and be able to get these aircraft out in the fleet much faster than we ever have before, safe, quality, and delivery.
Yeah, I think it's an important thing of, with the way Bell and Textron have been a lean forward through Mitch and Scott's leadership, right? We've invested our money. We've allowed them to say yes, right? Because they put a challenge out to the industry, and a lot of people, I think, they didn't think it would happen, right? I don't think that a lot of people in the industry thought that we could accelerate these kind of things, right? And we have. And it's been one of the proudest moments is, and we fly our V280 aircraft, and then we're out expanding envelope, and we're going through all these tests. We're flying almost 300 knots. We're going and breaking all these records, and you look back and the competition hadn't even got off the ground.
That's right.
Right, and it's awesome. And then when they do get off the ground, they're going up and down the runway, right? So and so it's just a powerful testament to the challenge that the government has been able to lay, and then the way we as a company, as a collective company, all pieces of it have been able to meet that challenge. And it's been really cool to see.
It is. It's been fantastic. Yeah. I've been at Bell for 10 years, and I have never seen such a quick development cycle as I did on the V280.
Yeah.
Through internal funding and partnership. Right. It's pretty impressive to see that. And then, like you said, you see how this aircraft flies, how agile it is, how quick it is. Like you said, the competition's nowhere near us. Nowhere near us. It's a distant future somewhere, and here we are changing the game of vertical lift.
Right. Yep. No, it's exciting. And so I want to thank everybody for coming and spending time with us virtually in this environment that we have, and just kind of hearing a little bit about how we believe that we are developing and shifting the right company to be able to execute both FLRAA and FARA in a way that far exceeds what anybody else can do. We have all the pieces, we have the right mindset, we have the motivation, and I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to two guys that are trying to strategize, and we geek out on this stuff, but it's something that we love to do, and it just what makes us want to come to work every day. So thanks for your time.